Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our English Learning podcast. I'm Jennifer, and as always, I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Elizabeth. How are you doing today, Elizabeth?
Hi Jennifer. I'm doing great, thank you. Today's topic is an incredibly important and sensitive one, as it deals with the mental health of teenagers. We're asking the question, does social media contribute to teenage suicide? In recent years, there's been growing concern that social media may be having a negative impact on young people's mental health, and some studies suggest that it could even play a role in rising rates of depression and suicide among teenagers.
That's right, Elizabeth. Social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat have become a central part of life for teenagers, offering both connection and entertainment. But alongside the benefits, there's also a darker side to social media that can lead to feelings of insecurity, isolation, and hopelessness. Today, we're going to explore whether social media is a contributing factor to the mental health crisis facing today's youth, and whether it's linked to the tragic rise in teenage suicide rates.
Exactly. And for our listeners out there, we want to approach this conversation with empathy and sensitivity, as mental health is a deeply personal issue for many people. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health or thoughts of suicide, we encourage you to reach out to a mental health professional or a trusted person in your life. So, Jennifer, let's start with the concerns about social media. Why do some people believe that social media may be contributing to teenage suicide?
Well, Elizabeth, one of the main concerns is that social media can lead to cyberbullying, which is often more pervasive and relentless than traditional bullying. Unlike face-to-face bullying, cyberbullying can happen 24/7, and it's harder to escape. When teenagers are bullied online, they may feel isolated, anxious, and hopeless, especially because the bullying can be seen by a large audience, making them feel humiliated and powerless.
That's such an important point, Jennifer. The anonymity of social media can make it easier for bullies to target others without fear of immediate consequences. And because social media platforms allow for instant sharing, negative comments, hurtful messages, and even threats can spread quickly, leaving the victim feeling overwhelmed and unable to escape the constant barrage of abuse.
Exactly, Elizabeth. And research has shown that cyberbullying is strongly linked to increased levels of depression, anxiety, and even suicidal thoughts among teenagers. When teens are subjected to online harassment, they may feel as though there's no way to stop it, which can lead to feelings of hopelessness and despair. Tragically, some teens may see suicide as the only way to escape the pain they're experiencing.
Yes, and this feeling of isolation is another key concern. Social media can sometimes make teenagers feel more disconnected from their peers, rather than more connected. Even though platforms like Instagram or Snapchat give teens the ability to communicate with others, they can also create a sense of comparison and inadequacy. Teens may constantly compare themselves to others, feeling like they don't measure up or that their lives aren't as exciting or perfect as the ones they see online.
That's such an important point, Elizabeth. On social media, people tend to present a carefully curated version of their lives, showing only the best moments, the most flattering photos, and the most exciting experiences. For teenagers who are struggling with their own self-esteem or mental health, this constant comparison can be damaging. They may feel like everyone else has a better life, which can contribute to feelings of worthlessness or self-doubt.
Yes, Jennifer. And this feeling of not measuring up can lead to what some researchers call social media envy, where teenagers become envious of the seemingly perfect lives they see on their screens. This can make them feel inadequate, lonely, and even depressed, especially if they're already feeling vulnerable.
Exactly. And another concern is the way social media can promote unrealistic beauty standards and body image issues. Platforms like Instagram, where image is everything, can lead to unhealthy obsessions with appearance. Teenagers, especially girls, are often bombarded with images of models, influencers, and celebrities who have been heavily filtered, edited, or photoshopped. This can create a distorted sense of what is normal or attractive, leading to body dissatisfaction and even eating disorders.
Yes, Jennifer. Many teenagers are particularly vulnerable to these kinds of messages because they're still developing their sense of identity and self-worth. When they're constantly exposed to unrealistic images, they may feel pressure to look a certain way or meet impossible standards, which can harm their self-esteem and contribute to mental health issues like depression and anxiety.
Absolutely, Elizabeth. And let's not forget the addictive nature of social media itself. Platforms are designed to keep users engaged for as long as possible, with endless scrolling, likes, comments, and notifications. For teenagers, this can lead to compulsive use of social media, which can interfere with sleep, schoolwork, and real-life relationships. Excessive use of social media has been linked to increased feelings of loneliness and isolation, both of which are risk factors for depression and suicide.
That's such an important point, Jennifer. Constant pressure to stay connected and stay updated on social media can lead to a sense of FOMO, or fear of missing out. When teenagers see their peers posting about parties, outings, or social events they weren't invited to, it can exacerbate feelings of exclusion and loneliness. This fear of missing out can increase their social anxiety and contribute to feelings of depression.
Yes, Elizabeth. And because social media can be so time-consuming, teenagers may end up neglecting face-to-face interactions and real-life relationships, which are crucial for emotional well-being. Social media connections often lack the depth and emotional support that come from in-person friendships, leaving teens feeling more isolated than ever.
Absolutely. So these are some of the key concerns about social media and its potential link to teenage suicide: cyberbullying, social comparison, unrealistic beauty standards, addiction, and feelings of isolation. But, of course, not everyone agrees that social media is to blame for these issues. Let's now talk about the arguments in favor of social media and why some people believe it can be a positive force for teenagers.
Yes, Elizabeth. One of the main arguments in favor of social media is that it provides a sense of community and support, especially for teenagers who may feel isolated or different in their real lives. For example, LGBTQ+ teens, teens with disabilities, or those facing mental health challenges may find online communities where they feel accepted, understood, and supported. In these spaces, they can share their experiences, connect with others who are going through similar struggles, and find emotional support.
That's such an important point, Jennifer. For many teens, social media is a lifeline, a place where they can express themselves, find validation, and connect with others who understand what they're going through. In some cases, these online communities can provide crucial support for teens who might not feel comfortable talking about their struggles in person.
Exactly. Social media can also be a platform for mental health awareness and advocacy. Many influencers and organizations use social media to raise awareness about mental health issues, share resources, and encourage teens to seek help if they're struggling. Campaigns like #BellLet'sTalk or #MentalHealthAwarenessMonth have helped to destigmatize mental health challenges and provide support for those in need.
Yes, Jennifer. Social media can be a place where teenagers learn that they're not alone in their struggles and where they can find information about how to manage their mental health. For some teens, simply knowing that others are going through the same thing can be incredibly reassuring, and it can encourage them to seek help when they need it.
That's such a great point, Elizabeth. And in addition to providing support, social media can also be a space for self-expression. Many teens use platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube to share their creativity, whether through art, music, dance, or storytelling. This can be a positive outlet for emotions and a way for teens to express themselves in ways that they might not feel comfortable doing in person.
Yes, Jennifer. Self-expression is so important, especially during the teenage years when young people are figuring out who they are. Social media gives them a platform to share their ideas, connect with like-minded individuals, and gain confidence in their abilities.
Absolutely. And let's not forget that social media can also provide educational opportunities. Teens can follow accounts that offer advice on mental health, study tips, personal development, and more. Many teens also use social media to engage in activism and learn about social issues that matter to them, which can give them a sense of purpose and empowerment.
Exactly, Jennifer. Social media can help teens develop a sense of social responsibility and get involved in causes they care about. Whether it's climate change, racial justice, or mental health advocacy, social media can be a powerful tool for positive change, giving teens a platform to raise their voices and make a difference.
Yes, Elizabeth. So, From the perspective of those who support social media, the key arguments are that it can provide community, support, and self-expression, as well as opportunities for learning and advocacy. But, as with anything, there are risks and benefits to consider. And speaking of different perspectives, I think it's a great time to hear from one of our listeners. Let's take a call from someone who might have an interesting perspective on whether social media contributes to teenage suicide. Hi there, you're on the air with Jennifer and Elizabeth. What's your name, and where are you calling from?
Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Elizabeth. My name is Samantha, and I'm calling from Chicago, Illinois. I've been listening to your podcast for a while now, and I love today's topic. I wanted to share my thoughts on the impact of social media on teenagers, especially since I've seen both the positive and negative sides of it.
Hi, Samantha. Thank you for calling in. We'd love to hear your perspective. What has your experience been like with social media, and do you think it plays a role in teenage mental health?
Well, I'm a high school teacher, and I see how social media affects my students every day. Some of them use it in really positive ways. They connect with friends, join online communities, and even use it to advocate for important causes. But I've also seen students who get caught up in the negative side of social media, especially when it comes to comparison and bullying. Some of them become obsessed with their online image, and it can really affect their self-esteem.
That's such an insightful observation, Samantha. It sounds like you've seen both the positive and negative effects of social media in your students' lives. Do you think social media contributes to the mental health struggles that some teenagers face?
I think it definitely can. I've had students who've confided in me that they feel anxious or depressed because of what they see on social media. Whether it's seeing their friends post about parties they weren't invited to or feeling like they don't measure up to influencers online, social media can really magnify their insecurities. But I also think it depends on how they use it. If they're mindful and use it in positive ways, it can be a great tool. But for some teens, it becomes a source of stress.
That's such a valuable perspective, Samantha. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us.
Thanks for having me. I love listening to your podcast, and I'm excited to hear more episodes.
Thanks so much for calling in, Samantha. Take care.
Bye, Samantha.
That was a great call from Samantha. She really highlighted the dual nature of social media. It can be both a positive space for connection and self-expression, but also a source of stress and anxiety, depending on how it's used.
Absolutely, Jennifer. And for those of you listening, if you're enjoying our podcast, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support really helps us keep creating these episodes and sharing more interesting topics with you.
So, where does that leave us in our discussion today? I think it's clear that social media can have both positive and negative effects on teenagers' mental health. On one hand, it provides a platform for community, support, self-expression, and mental health awareness. But on the other hand, it can also contribute to cyberbullying, social comparison, addiction, and isolation, all of which can negatively impact a teenager's mental health and potentially increase the risk of suicide.
Exactly. It's all about how social media is used and how aware we are of its potential effects. Teenagers, parents, and educators need to be mindful of the time spent on social media, the types of interactions that take place, and the overall impact it has on their mental health. Having open conversations about these issues is key to ensuring that social media remains a positive and supportive space for young people.
Absolutely. And it's important for parents and educators to keep an eye on how teenagers are using social media, while also encouraging them to take breaks, connect with others in person, and engage in activities that promote mental well-being. Social media is a powerful tool, but like any tool, it needs to be used responsibly.
Exactly, Jennifer. So, does social media contribute to teenage suicide? The answer is complex. For some teens, it can be a source of stress, anxiety, and isolation, while for others, it can be a place of support and connection. Key is to approach it with awareness and balance.
We hope today's discussion has given you some new insights into the impact of social media on teenage mental health and whether it contributes to teenage suicide. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for listening. We're always here to share new insights and help you learn English while exploring important topics like this one. Keep listening, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye for now, everyone. And remember, your mental health matters, so take care of yourself both online and offline.